round of applause, please, for our last speaker, Barry Mcauley.
I suppose, thank you very much. I'm surprised no tumbleweeds going by at this stage. The area clearing out. I'm not going to take too long, but a funny thing actually, and maybe shows the promotion side of it, BIM is actually building information modelling. But the fact is that it's not out there enough at this moment in time, so when you do Google BIM, that's what comes out. Is there a clicker so I can click on? So just a little bit about myself. My name is Barry Mcauley. I'm a postdoctoral researcher and I'm a lecturer in DIT. I lecture in MSc in Construction Informatics and MSc in Applied Building Information Modelling and Management. What I'm here to talk about today is a new programme spearheaded by Enterprise Ireland and facilitated by CETA called the BIM Innovation Capability Programme. And this came around basically from the need for the Irish construction industry to find a more rewarding way of doing business. So I understand that a lot of you don't know what building information modelling is, so I'll give a very brief definition of it. It's an alternative construction methodology. It's a different way of doing construction. What it essentially is it's a more structured process of managing information with ICT at the heart of it. And what's going on at the moment is it's gaining a lot of traction because it can reduce, there's 40% waste in the industry at the moment, while this has been mandated by a number of public works projects in order to kind of control this waste. It's gaining a lot of momentum at this moment in time. Sorry. So if we look at here, here's the world map showing you what's going on in some of these countries. The EU have come with a directive where they have recommended building information modelling become the way to manage all public works contracts. If you look to our nearest neighbours, the UK, they've mandated BIM on all public works projects from 2016. If we look it up here, we can see that France mandated BIM for 2017, Germany have mandated BIM for 2020, Scotland for 2017, so on, so etc. So we can get the idea that it's gaining a lot of traction. And with that, that's one of the reasons why Enterprise Ireland have funded this initiative, because they're getting concerned that if we don't take account of what's going on in other sectors, especially in the UK, that's going to result in us not being able to kind of enter into this market anymore. So put it simply, by 2020, BIM is supposed to have a market of $8 billion US dollars. Okay? At this moment in time, we're looking at the UK, and it is our kind of largest trading partner, and we're terrified that if we don't get on board with this, well then we're not going to kind of be in a position then to kind of enter the UK market as competitively as we once did. And there's a tour for BIM education and training. If you look at any kind of IT at the moment or any university, they're all offering MSCs, certs, higher diplomas in this because there's a huge want in the industry because people see this as a competitive advantage to give their company to get some of the work that they may have lost in the recession. It offers a different alternative and a more tighter way of doing construction. So some of the sample projects of BIM in Ireland. At this moment in time, the HSE are implementing it on the Children's Hospital in Parts. Grange Gorman have implemented it on the new DIT. I know also the OPW are looking at it and implementing some aspects of it. So we are in a position where we're starting to take a lot of, we're starting to self-regulate. But one of the reasons why the BICP was created was that we could come up with a roadmap to help kind of suggest the best way forward. So the Irish government's response today has been seen in such reports as Construction 2020, the 4FAST report, where they said that building information modelling is essential for the Irish construction industry moving forward because it'll keep the students attracted, it'll make it more attractive for students coming in. You know what I mean? And as I said, it's a more rewarding way of doing construction. The medium-term strategy where the Irish government also kind of advocates BIM as a possible better way of managing risk in public works contracts, because if any of you's ever worked on them, the way that they work is they're kind of set up to kind of put as much risk back onto the contractor. With BIM, what it essentially does is you build the building virtually and you're able to eliminate a number of mistakes before you build it actually out on site. So you have mechanical, electrical, all the different trades come together, and then they'll bring their model into something called a federated model, and from here you're able to kind of walk through this virtually and kind of go, hey, this is a problem, let's solve it here before it goes any further. So the voice of BIM in Ireland has, without a doubt, not been biased in construction and working for Construction IT Alliance. There's a seat of BIM LinkedIn members, 250 subscribing companies, 20 stakeholders, all the big construction kind of stakeholders, CIF, SCSI, RAI are all involved. We've had 5 years of strong BIM focused events. We've an online Masters in Construction Informatics, and we also run a BIM gathering in the line of a gathering in Ireland kind of thing, where we have international speakers that come over, they kind of tell us what's going on abroad, and then we have best case studies coming in from Ireland as well, kind of saying, look, let's get on board, and kind of giving us an idea of what's going on in that regard. So at this moment in time, what we've also done is set up a number of BIM regional hubs. So it's been kind of given the perspective of, like, in the north, the northwest, east and south. So it's a hub for people that are interested, and they kind of come and have presentations, disseminate knowledge and kind of feedback information, and that kind of gives us an idea of where we are in regard to each one of the different sectors. This is 2015, some of the workshops that was offered by CETA. Essentially what they do is they offer 6 workshops every year in the area of building information modelling. What we're doing this year is offering from the client's perspective of how building information modelling can be beneficial to the client and some of the key things that are involved. So we have international speakers coming over all the time and kind of giving their 2 cents on the best way forward. I'm involved in as the lead postdoctoral researcher as the CETA BICP BIM Innovation Capability Programme. And essentially what this is to capture the capability of the Irish construction industry and higher education institutes to respond to increased requirement for BIM and Irish construction engineering projects. So what this does is gets a strategic understanding of where we are at this moment in time regards to building information modelling, and more importantly where we strategically need to be if we want to make this a realistic option. So this is the setup. So as I said before, Enterprise Ireland are the funding body, Construction IT Alliance are the facilitators, and their academic partners, Dublin Institute of Technology and Trinity College Dublin. And all work is going to be validated by a company called Future Analytics, who will validate all the information to make sure that it has been researched and analysed in the correct way. In order to ensure that this data is valid and that we're kind of, we're setting up the right groups, a number of steering committees have been created in order to guide the research. And very importantly as well, we have set up a number of forums, including the BIM Academic Forum, Contracts Procurement Client Group. Dr. Claire Penny of IBM is doing the client group, and I know Dr. Avril Behan is doing the BIM Academic Group. So what we have, we're starting to set up a kind of a hub of people at this moment in time where they can kind of collect information and which will all feed into this research project. And essentially the goal of this is to feed back to the National BIM Council, which were formed, who are going to be placing an Irish implementation strategy in the early 2017, hopefully for the Irish construction to follow suit. It's similar as the UK, as Scotland, as Northern Ireland. So the whole idea behind this research is that there's enough information collected in order that the MBC can kind of formulate a roadmap moving forward. So how are we going to do this? 4 distinct work packages. Okay, work package 1. The first thing that we have to do is a global BIM study. So I'm doing that at this moment in time. I'm looking at what's going on around the world. I'm looking at it from what each country had to do in regards to education, what they had to do to develop standards, develop contracts, what they had to do in education-wise, the development of Pathfinder projects, how did they sustain this, and very importantly, how did they measure it? How do they know it's working? What maturity is behind it? The next step then is to do an investigation of the landscape of BIM adoption and initiatives presently in Ireland through these recent reports, and have a good understanding exactly what's out there in Ireland at this moment in time compared to the international regions. Identify and capture best practice, so that's 10 case studies where BIM is being used and exactly what guidelines are being used, how it's been implemented, and that gives an idea then to 10 different case studies, and we can start to kind of generate best practice, and that moves on then to a follow-up survey from last year with Enterprise Ireland and CETA to see where exactly we are. Now this is going to be done in 2 phases each time, so we have a kind of a benchmark that we can go back out in the industry and retest again next year. Work package 2 involves a number of industry consultations where we get a number of people from industry to come together. We have a half a day and we get some of the concerns and barriers that they face consistently in regard to implementing BIM. There'll be a systematic review and interviews done with HEIs, understanding BIM programs, how many students are coming in, how are they getting jobs coming out. So we'll have to understand the education need and meeting what the requirements are. There'll be consultation with public sector authorities, as well as consistent capture deliberations and particular concerns with the working groups I detailed earlier. Work package 3 will be an in-depth analysis of all this information, and that's kind of a congested period of 2 months. But what we're going to do is stretch this over the whole period, because realistically, we have to kind of analyse the information as we go along. And finally, work package 4 is how we're going to disseminate this information. So 6 bi-monthly reports. We're going to have an annual conference detailing the findings of the BICP, 10 comprehensive case studies detailing best practice, as well as a number of academic working papers, industry papers that will be disseminated to the construction industry consistently, detailing exactly where we are in regards to BIM, BICP, and kind of where we need to be moving forward. So essentially what we would like to get to is this circle here, where we have a good understanding at the end of it. Well, a review of contracts and procurement, what's the key things we need to do, a number of pathfinder projects, the guidelines, implementation, what kind of funding, sustainable program, roll out a national training program, adopt international standards, so a partnership between industry and government. So this is kind of a circle of some of the key findings we're hoping to get from this. Now we're only about 2 or 3 weeks into it, but it shows you the initiative if Enterprise Ireland are willing to pump money into this, because they see this as the future for the Irish construction industry. And at this moment in time, if you Google BIM and you Google EU, you will see that there's directives and there's a huge amount of traction in this, and the Irish construction industry cannot fail to follow at this moment in time. So thanks for your attention, and everyone stay home. Thank you.